Welcome to the premiere episode of the Weekly Brief. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Josh.
And we're really excited to have you today.
What college student isn't addicted to Words with Friends? Chances are you're not as addicted as Alec Baldwin was this Tuesday. While waiting for his plane to leave LAX, he was playing Words with Friends on his phone until a flight attendant asked him to turn off the phone. Baldwin refused and was thrown off the plane. Baldwin's spokesman said, Baldwin loves playing Words with Friends so much that he was willing to leave the plane for it. That wasn't the only exciting story that happened in the news this week. A real-life Slumdog Millionaire story came true for a government worker named Sushil Kumar. Kumar was the first person to win $1 million on the India's show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Kumar has many plans for the money. First, he's going to buy his wife a new house. Then he's going to pay off his parents' debt and then give some money to his brother to start a small business. Perhaps the most touching is Kumar's contribution to build a library in the village that he lives in for the children so they can have access to books.
Things are heating up in Syria with brutal military crackdowns against protesters. The uprisings against the Syrian president Bashar Assad began 9 months ago, and since then an estimated 4,000 civilians have been killed. Assad says that the military troops are not under his control, but that's a controversial statement because his role as the president is to be commander of Syria's armed forces. The government also claims that foreign extremists are the cause of the uprisings, not true reform-seeking citizens. In contrast, the United Nations blames the Syrian government for the widespread violence. Women's rights will be the major theme at this year's Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. 3 women have been chosen to share the Peace Prize because of their dedication to nonviolent struggle for women's rights. The 3 women chosen are Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Liberian social worker Lehman Bowie, and Yemen activist and journalist Tawakkul Karman.
A suicide bomb may threaten Afghanistan's and Pakistan's already uneasy relationship. A bomber on Tuesday left 56 casualties and 160 wounded outside a Shiite shrine in Afghanistan's capital city, Kabul. The bomb revealed a decline in Afghan security. In the past, terrorists have targeted mainly religious groups. However, this bombing may mark the beginning of targeting ethnic minorities. Also in the Middle East, Iran obtained a major piece of U.S. technology this past week when a spy drone was lost across the border during a CIA mission. The RQ-170 Sentinel that crashed has been kept so secret that the Air Force has not even revealed a picture of the aircraft. Officials have only acknowledged that the drone was part of a CIA reconnaissance mission.
A Holocaust survivor was reunited with the family who protected her over 66 years ago this week. During the Nazi invasion of Lithuania, Mary Katz Ehrlich and her parents lived in hiding with the Rusby family for 3 years until neighbors turned them into the Nazis. After being in prison for 6 months, they were freed by the Soviets, and the family kept in touch for years. 66 years ago, they were friends protecting each other. Today, they are reunited as a family for a lifetime. Wednesday was a day marked by infamy for all who remember the Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor. This week, 120 survivors attended the commemorative event in Hawaii that marked the 70th anniversary of the attacks. A moment of silence came at 8 a.m. when the Japanese first began their attacks. President Obama attended the event and declared Wednesday to be National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. Later this week, 5 survivors' ashes will be scattered over Pearl Harbor as their final resting place.
One topic you probably became familiar with in the past few months has been the Occupy Wall Street movement. In fact, many of you may have participated in protests on your own college campuses. Since the protests began in September, the goal has been to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. But since protesters are having a hard time camping in public places, they have shifted their strategy to protesting against bank foreclosures. This past Tuesday, more than 25 cities held protests in support of families who are facing eviction.
If you're waiting for a care package from home next semester, you're probably going to have to wait longer since major changes are coming to the Postal Service this spring. For the first time in 40 years, the Postal Service has decided to slow its delivery to cut costs and avoid bankruptcy. The Postal Service already predicts that they will have $14 billion of debt this year, and by the end of 2012, they plan to cut 28,000 jobs across the country.
The competition for the Republican nomination is diminishing now that Herman Cain has dropped out of the race last Saturday. Cain announced that he was suspending his campaign for president because of his sexual harassment and infidelity allegations placed on him. Cain also stated the claims that have hurt his ability to campaign for and raise money. At the polls, Newt Gingrich is currently in front for the 2012 Republican nomination, while Mitt Romney is second and Herman Cain continues to fall behind.
After 3 years of trial and public spectacle, former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich was sentenced to 14 years in prison this Wednesday. 3 years ago, Blagojevich was convicted of corruption and trying to sell President Obama's vacated Senate seat. This Tuesday was the first time that Blagojevich's attorneys admitted he was guilty of corruption. In addition to serving one of the strictest penalties for corruption, Blagojevich will also have to pay a $20,000 fine. Blagojevich gave a dramatic apology before his conviction that many people said was too little, too late.
This next story goes out to the men out there. The residents of Dublin, California received a surprise on Tuesday afternoon when a cannonball from a popular television series Mythbusters misfired and struck a house nearby. The show was taping an episode when the cantaloupe-sized ball bounced into the neighborhood before hitting the house and crashing into a family's minivan. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the cannonball left considerable damage to the house and car. Needless to say, the television show was busting more than just myths this time.
Ladies, think your relationship with that boyfriend is bad? Things could always be worse. 2 weeks ago, the police arrested a Pakistani woman for allegedly killing her husband, cutting him up, and cooking him. The woman claims she killed her husband because he tried to sexually assault her daughter. The police say that she sedated her husband by mixing sleeping pills into his tea, and then she strangled him. The woman was caught only when neighbors began to notice a very bad smell coming from her house. You got our word of the day?
The word of the day, the Mandarin word of the day. We're having some technical difficulties. Someone forgot to go get the fortune cookie, so we're not going to have a word of the day today, but we're going to get you next time.
Oh, one other thing that we forgot to mention is that be sure to keep Virginia Tech in your thoughts and prayers this week. As you may have heard that there's been a shooting there. Right now, the police are not releasing much information, but it is known that one police officer was struck.
Wow, it's very important. Hope you remember that. But on a lighter note, you want to hear an interesting fact?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I got a good one.
Okay, I'm
All
ready.
right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready.
A mole can dig 300 feet in one night.
That's special.
It is. I thought so.
Anyway, please be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thanks for watching us tonight. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Josh. And this is the Weekly Brief.